Welcome to Get Real with me, Dr. Friedemann. If you want to live with greater purpose, authenticity, and empowerment, this is your time to upgrade your belief systems, unlock your true potential, and discover the endless possibilities of you becoming the creator of your life. If you would have to guess what can cause things like insomnia, headaches, brain fog, joint pain, and even the inability to lose weight, would you have guessed that dehydration is the culprit? Not drinking enough water. It kind of makes sense when you think about it that we are consisting to 60% out of water. So if we're just like 2% off, it really throws our equilibrium off. But how do we stay hydrated? Apparently, just jugging down gallons of water is not really the right thing to do, according to my guest that I'm going to bring on in a moment. She is an internal medicine doctor. Her name is Dr. Dana Cohen, and she wrote an amazing book which is called Quench. Hi, Dana. So nice to see you again. I think it's 2 years ago that you're last on the show, so I'm really glad that you came back. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to be back. Thank you.
Well, you are the water goddess for me because you talk about something really important, which is hydration. And I just remember when I was not really sleeping well, someone told me, you're probably dehydrated. And I didn't believe that at all until I actually drank more water and did some more hydration things. And all of a sudden I could sleep better. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love that. That particular statement is so important for me to hear because the truth is there's no studies that show by hydrating better, you're going to sleep better. There are studies that show by hydrating better, you're going to be able to sort of detoxify better because that's when we're sleeping, we're detoxifying. But I know from a clinical standpoint that when you're better hydrated, you are sleeping better. So I love that you found it firsthand, and that's what a lot of the book is about. It's being in your own skin and trying this on and finding what your set point is for proper perfect hydration, and standing in it and feeling it.
So why do you think so many people are dehydrated and don't really take care of this important part of health?
So it's not really talked about so much. I'm here to talk about it, and for many reasons. First of all, we're living in different environments than we did even 5 years ago, with all of the fluorescent lights, the air conditioned environments, the processed food, the medications that we're taking. We're just living in different environments. We're living indoors in desert environments than we ever have before. Cell phones, electronic devices that are just giving off, whether or not you even think about the 5G, what we don't know about it, we're surrounded by electronic devices everywhere we go. We're not moving the way we used to move. So I mean, we're just living in different environments than we were even a
And
few
so we
years ago.
have habits that were basically habits from an old environment, and the new environment would require us to have better habits when it comes to hydration.
Absolutely. And also we're working harder. People are choosing to ignore their thirst because they don't want to get up to go pee in the middle of their workday. We're ignoring it. We have to work harder and harder, and it's a problem.
So what from this new world environment is one of the things that drains your water the most?
I'm sorry, that
That
what's my
drains
water?
the water the
Oh,
most, where you feel like you get the most dehydrated because of the fluorescent light or the air condition, or what do you think makes you the most dehydrated?
I'm not sure, but I think the first thing that comes to my mind, I live in New York City, and if it's funny because people think summertime is more dehydrating than wintertime because we're sweating and we're hot. I think living in New York in the wintertime with radiator heats that are just sucking the hydration out of the air, it's the worst. And you don't have a choice, because most apartments just come with them. They no longer have your choice of what kind of, and you don't even have control over it. They turn up the heat so high in the wintertime. That's just the first thing that just sort of came to my mind, wintertime. And, everybody's learned to put a pot of water on top of the radiator so that it moistens the air a little bit. But I think indoor, fake environments that we're living in, also with rugs, all the carpets and materials and drywall and all the synthetic things that are going in our environments too are playing a big role too. So I couldn't say which one is the worst. I don't have a
Altogether, not really good. Well, do humidifiers actually work
yeah,
for
absolutely.
hydration?
I think so, for sure. Yeah, we even give this. This is a little bit off the topic, but we even give a little tip in the book that to have a cup of tea at your desk, a hot cup of tea, not necessarily for drinking, for inhaling that vapor.
Oh,
Because
wow.
breathing is a hydrating act. You're inhaling vapor into wet vapor into your lungs. So yeah, so definitely. Air. What did you call them? What are they called? Air. Uh,
Well, I just said it, right? And now I'm blanking. We know what it
oh my
is.
God,
Humidifier. Here we go. Thank you.
humidifiers. Oh my God. I'm a little
Uh,
dehydrated today because I've been working
I
so
guess
hard.
me too. Yeah. So, how do we know that we are dehydrated? What are the symptoms? I mean, I know having a dry mouth is probably, or having not peed for 12 hours, good signs, but what else?
Yeah. So like thirst and dry mouth, you're already too far gone. Like you need to
Oh,
stave it up before that. I put being thirsty last on the list. Meaning we want to start, you want to hydrate before you feel the thirst. You want to get above it. So you know, one of the things I love this is a great thing to look for. We're meant to urinate every 2 or 3 hours during our waking hours.
hmm.
So if you're not getting up to pee every 2 or 3 hours, you're not hydrating enough. But then some other things, fatigue, that afternoon fatigue or brain fog that we often feel, and that most of us go reach for sugar because we think our blood sugar is dropping. I think more often is related to dehydration. So try hydrating better before you go reach for that sugary sort of pick me up. Um, so brain fog, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, obviously, things like headache and joint pain and joint stiffness, muscle aches. Those are all known to be a sign of dehydration. Um, yeah, those are some big ones. Dry skin, dry
Hmm.
mucous membranes. We talked about those kind of things. Um,
So these
yeah,
are
those are
like the short term dehydration effects. Now, what about long term? If you stay dehydrated chronically, what's the problem with that?
yeah. So there's not a podcast that I don't do without saying this next sentence, and I hope everybody's listening. That
No, I want to
that
be special. Stop it. We gotta not say.
learning how to hydrate is the single most important thing you can do to treat and prevent chronic disease, hands down. You have to
Wow.
start there. Before you go on any nutrition plan, any new lifestyle regimen, you have to learn how to hydrate first. And that's because it's very clearly associated with certain cancers, things like, and very specifically colorectal cancer and bladder cancers. And other things is heart disease. There was a great study, it's in the book, that we talk about these young men who they purposely dehydrated them and then took, before and after biopsies of their vessels. And what they showed is that with just a 2% dehydration, which we all can very easily get to in the middle of our day, that it does the same amount of damage to their endothelium, the lining of their blood vessels, as smoking a cigarette does.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
crazy. So heart disease, it's been linked to diabetes, which is crazy, and we know that diabetes is rampant and it's on the rise. And while we may be living longer, we certainly aren't living healthier. And that living longer is changing because we've now had a little bit of a dip, not because of COVID or anything, but in the past few years, our life expectancy is not getting any longer. But chronic disease is on the rise, and diabetes is up there with a huge cause of chronic illness, and hydration first step in treating even diabetes. And so much so that in this past year, this is not in the book because it was published after this, that there is a study. It was a very small study. It was an animal study, but it was the first of its kind that said water may be a treatment for metabolic syndrome. Just by treating water, you could be treating metabolic syndrome, which is pre-diabetes. And then because of diabetes, and the next step, and with a shared pathology of diabetes is Alzheimer's, hydration is linked, chronic low-grade dehydration is linked to Alzheimer's disease as well.
And why is that not taught more in medical school? I mean, I certainly have not heard about it when I was in medical school.
Hydration, or
Yeah.
why is nutrition barely taught in medical
Well, that's
school?
true.
I wish I had an answer. Maybe it's too simple. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We need to talk about it. The problem is, I think the real problem is that we don't have a way of measuring it. We don't have a way of measuring this simple low-grade chronic dehydration. I wish there was a simple blood test or a simple, measurement that you can take. We don't have one. So going back to what I just said right in the beginning, we need to all live in our bodies, know what it feels like to be perfectly, optimally hydrated, and stay on top of it all the time.
Yes. Now, the problem is that pretty much what everyone then says, well, though, you're just going to have 6 glasses of water or whatever the number is. But you actually say that's not what optimal hydration is about.
No. And in fact, that's the tagline for the book. 8 glasses a day is not the way. So much like the food pyramid, if you remember, the original food pyramid, that was never really studied, right? Originally, it was a bunch of nutritionists sitting around saying, well, we think that, meat should be at the top of the food pyramid, so eat very little meat, and at the bottom is eat all the carbs you want, lots of grains and pasta and breads, and then we now know that's probably not the best way to eat. And but that was never really studied. So much like the food pyramid, that 8 glasses a day was never really studied, and never comes from nowhere. And think about how can you tell a 5'2", mother to hydrate the same as a 6'4" pro athlete? They both need to drink 8 glasses a day. It's crazy. It makes no sense. And I'm here to say that unfortunately there is not one, there's no good number for me to give you. If you twisted my arm and said, I need a number, I need to know how much to drink, then I will say, okay, well, a little bit better is drink half your weight in ounces.
Half your weight in ounces.
Yeah. I don't know where you are. Are you in France?
I'm in France, so give me this in liters.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, no problem. I can figure it out. Yes.
Okay. But that is definitely a better.
And we're talking about pounds or kilos?
It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't.
Well, because the ounces you would weigh. Okay, got it.
Right,
yes.
right.
Okay.
Oh, you just threw me.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's interesting. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
But the question that a lot of I'm sorry. Yes.
No, but I want to say, even that, think about this for a second. Let's say I say somebody who is an athlete, sweats a lot during the day, is running around. That still may not even be enough for them. Or I know, because I do a lot of ketogenic diets. If you've ever gone on a ketogenic diet, it acts as a diuretic. You're peeing a lot. So I would even say people who are on a keto diet, they need to drink 3/4 of your weight in ounces, a much higher number. But a simple rule of thumb, if you had to get it out of me, I'd say start with half your weight in ounces.
Okay.
Maybe.
So give me an example. So let's say I'm weighing 190 pounds. So that would be in ounces then?
80 ounces of
that is a lot. Wow.
Yeah. But that does not take into account what you're eating.
Okay.
So it may not be that. That's why none of those numbers of how much water I should drink is great. If I know there are days that I drink 1 glass of water a day. I do it first thing in the morning, and then I have a great lunch, a really juicy salad with, lots of vegetables and maybe some blueberries in there. And then I have a great dinner, a really healthy dinner of just some fish and more vegetables, and maybe even have a green smoothie during the day. And I'm feeling fantastic. I don't need to drink anymore. There are some people who can get away with drinking one glass of water, but you have to know what that is, and you have to include food, which is really the impetus of writing the book. So it's about eating your water, and eating more. And the way to do that is by eating more plants and vegetables, and drinking green smoothies, basically blended greens with water, and adding some electrolytes and minerals into your fluid content by like maybe a little your first glass of morning with a squeeze of lemon and a little pinch of salt, real salt that has the full range of minerals that helps structure your water, which we can talk about.
Yes, absolutely. But before we go there, why is food better than actually drinking water? I mean, is it because in food, the water in itself has a different structure already, or?
Absolutely does. So we wrote the book based on, there's so much research based on Dr. Gerald Pollack's work. He discovered that there's a new phase of water that exists, which was mind blowing to me. We know that water exists as liquid, ice, and vapor. We've always known that. Now they're telling us there's a whole new phase of water, and he calls it easy water. We call it structured water or gel water. There's lots of different, ordered water is another name for it. There's a bunch of different names for it, but it's this other phase of water. And it literally is how those water molecules, those H2O molecules, how they layer upon each other. And it's in that layering that they start to share electrons. And there are certain things that can help create more of that structured water in the body. Sunlight being one of them, or actually any light really does it. Sunlight does it well, really good, and infrared light does it the best. Far infrared, even near infrared. So we need light, we need water, and greens, chlorophyll, help structure water as well. So it's and then the other thing is, in nature, that's how water exists. You look at cucumbers. Look at a cucumber seed. Inside that cucumber, it's surrounded by gel water. It's loaded with gel water. So it's believed that it's in that form that's what's found in nature, and it's also in that form that's what's found in our bodies, in our cells, within our cells, intracellularly. So the idea of eating your water, it helps structure the water, it helps get it into the cells and keep it into your cells longer. One of the ways that you can experiment with this, or even know it for yourself, is think about how many times you've said to yourself, I've been drinking water all day long. I can't quench my thirst. I can't satiate my thirst. And then try the same experiment where instead of, maybe adding a green smoothie and not having to drink so much water, or adding more plants to your diet, watermelon is so much more quenching to your thirst than just drinking plain bulk water, because it's structured.
And does a structured water then get really structured into our system, or does it get first into another form like liquid and then it gets restructured? Do we know that?
We don't know that. It's a really great question. We don't know that, and that's where the clinical sort of experimenting with yourself, and trying on knowing what it feels like to be properly hydrated falls into place.
I'd love to be my own experiment. I think that's great. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. Now, one of the things that I learned last time were the magic of these chia seeds, and I just felt like, wow, since ever then, that is a form of hydrating yourself without having to drink a lot. So talk a little bit about those and how where you even found out about those.
Oh, so there's a fantastic book called Born to Run. I'm going to blank on the author's name. Born to Run. Any runner who knows this book, it's a fabulous book. And he talks about this tribe of desert dwellers, the Tarahumara tribe. I believe they're somewhere in Mexico, and they're elite distance runners, and they do it for fun, 50-mile marathons for fun. And they run with chia seeds, and they drink very little water, and they run, and their chia seeds sustain them because it holds on to that water. It acts like a sponge. It helps absorb that water better. That was the original, how it sort of all came to be. And then when you think about it, if anybody has ever made a chia pudding, where you put water, or let's say coconut water with chia seeds, they plump up. They create literally a jelly-like substance
Exactly.
around them. So they're incredibly hydrating, and they hold on to that hydrating. The other thing about chia seeds is that they're loaded with omega-3, our parent omega-3 fatty acids, which we need, ALA, alpha linoleic acid. We need, that's very important for our cell membranes. And that's important. There are these, all of our cell membranes are surrounded in fat. We have a whole chapter on fat, which is sort of an outlier of a chapter, but it is a passion of mine because we're not healthy if we don't have good, healthy fats in our diet. You as a cardiologist, I'm assuming also a little bit
Well,
passionate.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I also feel like fat has such a bad reputation, and it's so important at the same time. So, how do you do chia seeds? Just 1 or 2 spoons in a little water and wait until they are quelling up, and then you chuck them
Yeah.
down.
So there's a couple different ways. You could throw them right in your smoothie. You could make chia puddings. There's 1,000 recipes online for chia puddings. You can make really simple ones. Usually I do 2 tablespoons in a little like ramekin with whatever kind of, I usually use a plant. I don't, some people use, if you're on a keto diet, they use heavy cream, and it's an unbelievably delicious dessert. And then you could do some, maple syrup or some fruit. You could throw some shaved almonds on there, make a delicious dessert with it. Just throw it in your smoothie. There is one little caveat to that. There are some people that can be sensitive to the lectins in chia seeds, much like the lectins in beans and that kind of thing, and other legumes. So you may want to soak them overnight in just plain water, and then spoon it out and put it in your smoothie, or you could throw them on your salad. You could eat raw chia seeds on your salad too, much like you would throw
Right.
raw flax seeds on your salad too. There's lots of ways. Chia seeds they've become a bit of a trend, and there's so much nice recipes online for them.
Now, do you find it better to drink soda and coffee and tea than drinking not at all, or should people in general just not do that stuff?
Okay, so what I am hoping that when you say soda, you mean bubbly water, like seltzer water, and
Oh, no,
not,
no, no, no. I'm eating the good stuff. All that has
no.
different colors to it.
Yeah, no, soda needs to go. Sorry, soda is just horrible. Bubbly water, like mineral water, I love. There's some new brands out there. There's a brand that got me off of Diet Coke. I used to be a Diet Coke fiend for my whole life. Tab first when I was a little kid, and then I got onto Diet Coke. And there's a brand called Spindrift that has it's basically just flavored seltzer water with like grapefruit and nothing bad in it, 0 carbs. It's that's how I got off of Diet Coke. So yeah, and yeah, so soda is not good. There's all kinds of crap in there that needs to get rid of, and especially diet soda, I think, is probably even worse than regular soda. Between regular sugar, I
Mhm.
think the fake sweeteners are probably going to turn out, we're going to learn, that are far worse for us than even regular sugar. Not that you should be eating all that regular sugar in soda. Coffee and tea, though, that's a different story. And I find I always get like the yay, um, that we've done some research, and that anything under 4 cups of coffee a day is not a diuretic. So we can do, and I don't know the equivalent of how much tea that is, because tea is less caffeine. But I want to just say something about that. If I were to drink 4 cups of coffee a day, I would be a complete nervous wreck. Like, I can't handle that much caffeine. Caffeine is a drug, and people need to know what their stress point is for that. So I'm not advocating 4 cups of coffee a day for most people, but from a hydration standpoint, it's okay. From a caffeine standpoint, may not be okay for so many people. It really directly affects your adrenals, that kind of thing. So I think it's a little excessive, and anything above that I think is excessive anyway. But coffee, herbal tea, you can have as much herbal tea as you want in a day. That's great.
So when I have my little 4 o'clock dip, I can have a coffee and do 2 good things. I hydrate myself and give myself a little caffeine. That's it.
You
Thank you. You made
can,
my day.
yeah.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is drinking in the evenings. They're done with the day. They feel like, okay, I guess I'm going to hydrate myself. And then there is a problem with going 4 or 5 times a night to the bathroom. So
Yeah.
is there anything that you would say people can do that prevents this from happening and still allows you to hydrate?
Yeah, so you have to play around with it. We lose, as we get older, we lose our ability to make a hormone called ADH, antidiuretic hormone, right? So that is a known thing as we get older. That's why as we get older, we get up more in the middle of the night to go pee. So it's, you have to sort of weigh out what, like you said, hydrating better helped you sleep. Um, it's incredibly individualized. I do think that by adding some chia to maybe that after that late night tea, cup of tea or something, herbal tea, could help hold on to that water a little bit longer so that you're not having to get up. But you're going to have to experiment. There are some people who just period can't drink much after 7 p.m. or else they're 7, 8 o'clock they're up and peeing all night, or a couple times a night. And if you're somebody like me, if I wake up to pee, then I have a very hard time falling back to sleep. So you have to find what works for you. I don't have a great answer for it,
Is
unfortunately.
hydrating food slower in that regard
I,
than drinking pure water? And
I definitely think so. Absolutely think so.
so a
So,
salad would be maybe a good alternative to
or
just drinking
some
glasses of water.
strawberries, some berries or something could be a nice little hydrating snack. A peach, a plum could be a more hydrating thing for you, but instead of drinking so much liquid.
So has your work about hydration changed your life? Has it improved it?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. It's in so many ways. I mean, let alone from the joy that I get out of teaching people how to hydrate and lay people and seeing the dramatic changes in such a short period of time. It literally takes one day. This is not something you have to do and go on a diet for 3 months before you see the effects of it. You will notice an effect in one day. So let alone that is a whole nother story. But yeah, hydration is, I'm somebody who with diet, I'm not a biohacking doctor, so I'm not somebody's like, or I'm not, and I'm not a personal trainer, so I'm not like, you have to be 100%. If go, you gotta, we're going to be sticklers on your diet. I do subscribe to that 80-20 rule with diet, right? So if you give me 80%, you're going to see benefit from going on a low carb diet or something like
Right.
that, for the most part. Um, with hydration, though, it's something that I found that it is something day in, day out, you have to be on top of. And that is the one thing, like, and it's not that hard. It's just not hard. It's not necessarily even, like I said, drinking more and more water. It's about making your dinner plate 75% vegetables. How about cooking more than one vegetable for dinner, one green vegetable? Make a few vegetables for dinner. Fill up on vegetables. Have a little bit of meat. Have a little bit of grains if you're eating grains. So for me, it took so much off of my beating myself up,
Mm.
with diet and now just it made my life easier, better. I move better. I feel better, as I've seen it in so many other people as well.
Wow, that's very encouraging. And it's so nice that something can actually be easy
I
because a
know.
lot of things just feel like, oh my God, Mount Everest to climb in flip flops. So, this is really nice that you actually offer something, a simple solution to feel dramatically better in a short amount of time. Who can offer that? Thank you very much for that. Now, how can people find out more about you and your work and your book and all the good stuff?
My website probably best is www.drdanacohen.com, drdanacohen.com. The book is called Quench. It's found everywhere books are sold, Amazon. Um, it's not in French. It's in 6 other languages, though. It's in Japanese and German and Italian and Spanish and Portuguese.
Well, that's a problem.
I know, we gotta get to those French people.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so is there any last advice that you would like to give people that still feel like maybe I don't know about that hydration? What do you think like they could just get started with?
Okay, I'm gonna give two quick things. First thing, every morning, wake up, drink 8 to 16 ounces of water with a little squeeze of lemon and a pinch of sea salt. Start there. And then the second thing is, and this is a little bit of a bigger ask, but not so much because it's a craze. have one green smoothie a day. So a green smoothie is blended vegetables in a blender with water, and then whatever else you want to put in there, meaning what if you want to put a little fruit for flavor, if you want to put a little chia seeds, you want to put a little lemon and ginger, go ahead and do that, but not a milkshake. I'm not talking about yogurt and other milks and protein powder. That's a meal. This is a green smoothie. So try to keep it light in the sugar, drink a, but heavy on green vegetables like spinach, chard, celery. Try doing that. If you've never done that before, it will change your life.
I love green smoothies, I have to say. Absolutely. And it does keep you going for a long time. It's definitely great sustenance. Well, fantastic suggestions. And thank you so much for coming back. And I'll get you back again because this is such great information. It's so important. And especially now that the summer is almost over. It's
Next time it's going to have to be at your studio in France.
We can do that anytime. Come over. And then we can translate that book for you. Okay, thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.